A different perspective, a new insight into life, a nugget of positivity and a hidden truth, and maybe an amusement for you. Welcome to From My Standpoint, a twice-a-month podcast with your host, Josh C. Jones.
Hey, I appreciate you tuning in again to From My Standpoint. I'm your host, Josh C. Jones. If this is your first time listening, then I thank you for tuning in. And if it's not, well, I thank you for coming back. I really do. And do not forget that if you prefer to read, I suggest you check out the show notes at FromTheirStandpoint.com. That's from T-H-E-I-R standpoint.com, where I will sometimes add links and extra information that may not be in the podcast. Hey, welcome back for part 3 of 4 things that you cannot get back. Now, this is the final part of the 3-parter.
If there are 4 things you cannot get back, then why do you only have 3 episodes for this?
That is actually a good question, Random Voice of Questions. Well, let me tell you, the last 2 things that you cannot get back cover overlapping topics, so I just combined them for one episode here in Part 3. Now, for those who did not hear Part 1 or Part 2, I highly encourage you to go back and listen to it. 4 things you cannot get back, Part 1 and Part 2. Now, as I mentioned in Part 1 and Part 2 of 4 things you cannot get back, how many times am I going to say that? And yes, I will mention it again here. What I am going to talk about is, I think, a wonderful proverb that truly stands the test of time and holds true from generation to generation. Now, I don't wish to repeat myself if it can be helped.
And yet, you're going to repeat yourself again, aren't you?
Very perceptive there, Random Voice of Questions, very perceptive. And yes, I am going to repeat myself. Sometimes
repetition is necessary to bring a point home.
You know, that is actually really good, Random Voice of Reason. That is really good. I have to say, I think I was about to say that. Now, it is important for us to learn and develop and practice patience, discipline, wisdom, and control over our emotions. However, patience, discipline, wisdom, and control over our emotions are oftentimes so difficult to obtain and hold on to, as shown by our outbursts and especially our immediate and oftentimes rude and insulting and hurtful and instigating and angry comments and posts we see so much on social media. And if you haven't been on there, get on there. You'll see what I'm talking about. You know what? Better just stay off of it. I believe it is true that all of us like to feel enlightened, that all of us like to appear special. We all have our special needs. Yeah. That all of us so desperately desire to be valued. Well, all of us that were allowed to be born and be here have a desire to be valued, and that all of us have a need to be heard. Now, in our sense of enlightenment, in our specialness, in our attempt to prove our value, in our need to be heard, we oftentimes relinquish self-control, and in doing so, we lose patience, discipline, and act foolishly, and we justify our emotional responses in the name of righteousness and passion. We accept our perception as fact and our current state of feeling as truth. Then we hurl and strike and inflict others with our perception and our feelings, and then when our negative emotional response stirs more dissent and more conflict, we act dumbfounded when they do not respond in kind. We question their allegiance and values, and we end up confounding things through our unchecked emotions and justify it all through our self-ascribed righteousness and passion. In these moments of foolhardy conduct, we can, if we are not careful, easily erase occasions that could have been special and loved. And we waste precious time in our lives and the lives of others, special memories and precious time that could very well be lost forever. These we cannot get back, and in regret, we end up missing that which will never, ever return.
Moments are shaped by our choices, and our choices are heavily influenced by our ability or inability to learn, develop, and show patience, discipline, wisdom, and self-control.
Yeah, you are spot on again, random voice of reason. Good job.
In those moments, we lack humility and meekness.
That we often do, random voice of reason. That we often do. Now, I think a lot of the moments are caused by pride and fear. I mean, just look at the outbursts and lack of self-control and patience we witnessed over the last year. And what was the main cause of a lot of this, in my opinion? Outside of us being in a spiritual battle, that is, it was fear. Fear. Now, couple fear with pride and you have a powder keg just waiting to explode. Anyway, let me get back on topic here. Now, the final things that no one can get back after it has left them are, you ready? The occasion after it is missed and the time after it is gone. Occasions, events, happenings, special times, they are all limited. Some are good and some are obviously bad, but they are all temporary.
Yep. Technically, every folk do and experience in life is temporary and will one day pass. Folk have them ups and downs, those hills and valleys. Everything is temporary. Yep. Folk just need to keep moving. Yep.
Yeah, I have to say, I agree with you. That is some good common sense. Random voice of common sense. Good common sense. Yeah. And once their time has come to an end, that is, once the occasions, events, happenings, and special times, once it has come to an end, they are gone. Forever. Now, if we are too busy or too preoccupied or too emotional, we might just miss an occasion which could result in regret later in our lives. Now, occasions can be special, they can be life-changing, they can be just what we have been searching and fighting for in our lives. But they mean almost nothing if we allow time to creep in and steal it from us. If we are not proactive and take charge to make the time to be with family and friends, to make the time to be with loved ones, to make the time to learn those skills and go to those places that we dream about, then we give that command to time itself, and the occasion will pass us by without our presence.
Time will keep marching forward. It never sleeps. It never slows. It never asks for permission. It just marches on, content to take the lead and pass everything.
Yeah. I probably couldn't have said it better myself, random voice of reason. That was good. Now, time with family, friends, loved ones, and time alone for prayer and relaxation. Are any of these occasions worth more than the dollar we are chasing? Are any of them, worth more than the desire to please ourselves? Are any of them worth personal sacrifice to ensure that we have some precious occasions that will stay with us in our memories for the rest of our lives? Now, I understand the importance of obligation, of work, of acquiring finances to ensure bills and debts are paid. This is responsibility, and it is important for us to be personally accountable.
What do you mean then?
Well, random voice of questions, I will tell you. What I am talking about is avoidance. Yeah, avoidance out of emotional anger or fear or hate or regret. Now, let me say that again. I am talking about avoidance out of emotional anger, fear, hate, or regret.
Yep, avoiding because of anger or fear or hate. That is, I think, not always, but often because of a choice made because of folk having unforgiveness in them. Yep.
You know, that is a big one for sure, random voice of common sense. That it is. I'm glad you chimed in there. Now, another one that I am talking about is purposefully refusing an occasion because we have taken on too much, or as is often the case, because of a lack of structure or scheduling and prioritizing. You know, I'm too busy is often the justification for this. You know, I can't, I'm too busy, I'm too busy, I'm too busy. You know, but there is a big difference between being productive and being busy. But that is for another time. And I have a full episode that will be out later on scheduling. But let me get back to this one. Now, I am talking about our attention being diverted from relationships to material goods or personal desires. Now, I believe relationships are important and absolutely vital to our lives and to our health. You know, as Zig Ziglar says, the relationships we have with people are extremely important to success on and off the job. Now, I know there are plenty of times I have avoided occasions with family and friends, and some of those occasions I do truly wish I could get back. Time, however, does not allow such an opportunity. The occasions have passed. The time is gone. Now, I, for one, as much as I reasonably can, want to capitalize on the time that is left and the occasions that may still be. I want to be as proactive and take charge as much as I can without avoiding my obligations and responsibilities. Let me say that again. Without avoiding your responsibilities and obligations. And I want to be present for those occasions and cherish the time that I am given. As Spencer Johnson states in his book, The Precious Present, it is a present because it is a gift. It is called the precious present because it is the best present a person can receive. Because anyone who receives such a gift is happy forever. Now, this is a really good book to read. It really is. And while you're reading good books, go find mine on Amazon. You know, Destiny, Life or Death. Choose your destiny. I like that. Anyway, it is not easy. I'm not sure it will ever be easy to capitalize on all those occasions.
Time is linear. Occasions can be divergent.
Yeah, that was good. Absolutely, random voice of reason. You don't have to knock on the door. You can just come on in and speak. We are only one and can only be in one place at one time. Time, obligations, and responsibilities and occasions will not always communicate and choreograph with our lives. Breaking news here, people. Breaking news. Just in. The world does not revolve around us individually. It does not revolve around me, and it does not revolve around you. I know that's harsh. So we must make choices and decide our priorities and accept that some occasions will pass and some time will be lost. But those occasions we can capitalize on, we must take hold of and be fully present, enjoy, and cherish. Do not forget to check out the other great shows at www.fromtheirstandpoint.com. And if you even slightly liked what you've heard in this podcast, in these shows, please, please, please rate, review, and share. That's how people find us. And if you have not yet subscribed, then I encourage you to subscribe to From My Standpoint to ensure you receive a reminder when new episodes are released. You can follow me on Facebook at FM Standpoint, on Instagram at From My Standpoint, or visit the website www.fromtheirstandpoint.com. That's from THEIR standpoint.com, and click on my show, From My Standpoint. Thank you. And now, what you've all been waiting for, it's the wisdom of Dad Joke. Time and occasions. Time and occasions. Two things that are very precious to each of us, I'm sure, and two things that, once gone, we will never get back. Sure, we can try to emulate an occasion, but it will never be the same as it once was or could have been. And as much as we talk about making up the time, we can never truly make it up. For most of us, we will never be able to hold time in our hands. A clockmaker, however, has nothing but time on his hands.
This has been From My Standpoint, a podcast to find a nugget of positivity and a hidden truth, encouraging and enlightening insight, entertaining a new perspective, and providing an amusement for you. We hope you were entertained, encouraged, enlightened, and enjoyed the show.